And so because he's not present, he's not being the leader that he should be, that actually opens the Guardians up to vulnerability.
Bob Iger walked back into Disney promising revival and delivered a bloodletting 7,000 lost jobs, entire divisions gutted, and then a proxy statement revealing his own haul. $31.6 million. Most of it stock and bonuses earned, while Disney Plus leaked billions. To the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy, that single number felt personal. For a decade they had turned obscure comics into a billion-dollar heartbeat of the MCU, working insane hours in rubber suits and prosthetics, selling mountains of baby Groot dolls, believing loyalty still mattered at the studio that built its brand on Happily Ever After. Then the phone stopped ringing. It began with whispers on the Vault reset. Streaming executives appeared unannounced, hovering behind monitors, noting which scenes could be chopped into future content modules. James
So it's a very bittersweet thing.
Gunn, newly rehired after Disney's public U-turn on his 2018 firing, joked about the shadows until late-night rewrites turned the joke sour. He reminded an assistant that filmmaking is joy when people trust you, misery when they don't. Every take felt like an audit. Cast members sensed the chill but kept smiling for press. They'd survived worse. Gunn's cancellation, the pandemic shutdown, endless blue screen pickups. Surely there would be a new deal, a Star-Lord limited series, a Rocket Origin special. Instead, Variety broke the news first. Internal decks labeled Guardians non-core IP. All spin-offs paused. Palm Clementif heard through a journalist that her Mantis pitch was dead. Karen Gillan refreshed email. Nothing about Nebula. Bradley Cooper learned a rocket show had concept art, storylines, then vanished because an executive floated replacing his voice with AI trained on archival lines. Dave Bautista, who had once called Disney cowardly for firing Gunn, laughed without humor. Of course Drax didn't fit the new algorithm. Chris Pratt finally dialed a studio VP, and according to a crew source, snapped, "I'm Star-Lord, not a podcast guest, call me before the trades next time." The betrayal cut deeper because these actors had risked everything for Gunn.
Went up to Chris and going, just don't suck this time. Do it again, but suck less.
In 2018, when political trolls surfaced decade-old tweets and Disney fired him overnight, they issued a unified letter begging his reinstatement. That kind of public defiance against the mouse can end careers. They signed anyway. Disney rehired Gunn in 2019, but trust never healed. On Valtteri's final day, no Marvel boss or Disney executive bothered to visit the set. The rap speech was Gunn's alone, delivered to crew wiping tears with paint-stained sleeves. Later in the group chat, a cast member typed, "They didn't fire us, they just erased us."
If we can discuss the fact that this is maybe not a franchise that's going to go on forever, how you feel
What? Talk like that.
How do you feel about the idea of James Gunn and you guys not necessarily being part of the same gang?
I'm against it.
No one corrected the line. While the cast processed silence, Bob Iger went live on CNN. Talking about the 2023 writers and actors strikes, he said creatives had unrealistic expectations, that their demands exacerbated industry challenges. Social feeds filled with side-by-side screenshots. Iger's $31,600,000 decks to layoffs tally. Guardians actors who'd spent months doing press junkets on minimum per diem understood exactly what unrealistic looked like, and it wasn't in the picket lines.
We wanted to do the same thing with the writers, and we'd like to do the same thing with the actors. There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic. And they are adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive.
So they're not being
and
realistic?
dangerous. No, they're not.
Why not?
I can't answer that question. I respect their right and their desire to get as much as they possibly can in compensation for their people.
Gunn sensed the temperature and slid away to DC Studios, where Warner Brothers handed him the keys to rebuild an entire universe. Disney's response was cold accounting. If the architect leaves, bulldoze the house. By early 2023, internal emails instructed consumer products teams to scale down Guardian-branded merchandise after holiday inventory sold through. Focus shifted to fresher property. Baby Rocket plushies still shipped, but promotion moved to the clearance bin. A year earlier, those dolls had financed new campus wings. Now they were residue. Every franchise dies someday, but not like this, without closure, without even a phone call. That absence shaped the cast's future choices more than any headline. Bautista pursued dramatic indies. Saldana doubled down on Avatar. Gillen began directing. Pratt raised private equity for projects he could actually control.
I obviously have deep passion for the company and the business, and I care a lot about the people. After coming back, realized that the company was facing a number of challenges, some self-inflicted, some caused by changes in the business, large-scale disruption of certain parts of the business. And while a lot of work has been accomplished in the 7 or so months that I've been back, the board believed, and I agreed with them, that there was a lot more work to do.
They left the galaxy behind because Disney had already shut off life support. If fans wondered why no one fought harder to stay, the answer lay in the empty space where relationship should have been. Loyalty had met the spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet won. Enjoying the deep dive so far? Hit like so other fans notice the story Disney would rather keep buried. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Now, back to the video. Disney's cost-cutting zeal sliced even deeper in a 2022 investor call that never raced the public feed. A mid-level strategist proposed cloning Bradley Cooper's dialogue into an AI model so future Rocket appearances could be generated without rehiring him. Another slide suggested the same for Vin Diesel's Groot. Fans won't know, someone assured the room. The idea stalled only when lawyers warned that SAG could explode if legacy performances were mined like voice mines. Still, its very discussion confirmed what the Guardians already felt. Characters were IP first, people last. Gunn fought parallel battles on set. Early drafts showed Rocket's origin in full. The torture cage, the broken friends, the unvarnished screams.
Have to know how to sort of ooze your way through things in a kind way.
That's what it all comes down to.
Studio notes called the sequence brand inconsistent and asked whether the darkest shots might be trimmed for young viewers. Gunn refused. If pain is off-putting, the audience should be off-put, he told the execs, daring them to fire him twice. They backed down, but only after adding another compliance rep to the edit bay, there to flag frames that might upset future merch partners. Around the same time, legal sent fresh pair of work to every Guardian actor, updated publicity guidelines and a 5-year non-disparagement clause. It barred them from criticizing Disney practice, pay scales, AI experiments, anything that could adversely affect corporate reputation. Bautista joked it was the studio's final line of defense. Gag orders because heartfelt thank yous cost nothing. The joke landed flat. If the Guardian saga exposed Disney's indifference to legacy, Lightyear showed how fast the company folds under global politics. The film, pitched as the in-universe movie that inspired Andy's toy, contained a 10-second montage kiss between Commander Hawthorne and her wife. After internal pushback, the kiss vanished, then returned when Pixar staff leaked a memo accusing executives of erasing LGBTQ moments for years. Restored or not, 14 countries banned the picture. Box office returns stalled at $226 million against a budget that neared $37.5 million with marketing, leaving an estimated $116 million hole. Chris Evans, now voicing the human Buzz, dismissed boycotters as idiots, dinosaurs waiting for extinction. Conservative outlets roared. Representative Jim Jordan tweeted, "Buzz went woke. The movie went broke." Ben Shapiro blasted Disney's secret gay agenda. Meanwhile, Tim Allen, absent from the cast list, told Extra the film felt disconnected from his Buzz, fueling rumors he'd been snubbed for politics. Confusion over premise, plus partisan outrage, plus missing nostalgia equaled commercial frostbite. Yet Disney's public response was a corporate shrug. Inside California headquarters, the cultural crossfire was already raging. Employees had staged walkouts when the company's first reaction to Florida's Don't Say Gay bill was studied neutrality. Iger's eventual condemnation arrived late enough to trigger Governor DeSantis's counter-strike, legislation yanking Disney's special Reedy Creek privileges. Overnight, the world's friendliest kingdom found itself a frontline in America's culture war. While marquee IPs stumbled, the parks fielded crises that felt pulled from dark satire. A fired systems engineer spent months hacking ECOT menu files, swapping allergy warnings, rewriting QR codes to anti-Israel websites, and crashing account logins. Damage nearly $700,000 and a 3-year prison sentence. Elsewhere, guests realized they could hire disabled strangers for $100 to access the disability service Q-Skip, turning compassion into black market currency. Disney tightened rules, then faced a class action suit claiming the new hoops discriminated against physically disabled visitors. In the same quarter, a backstage cooler fire emptied half of France's pavilion and security arrested a tourist trying to slip cocaine through the Magic Kingdom gate. Magic, it turned out, required a lot of hazard. The accumulation of glitches, strikes, bans, lawsuits, AI schemes, and silent farewells painted an unflattering mural. A corporation once branded on Wonder, now managed by spreadsheet, apology, and non-disclosure. For the Guardians cast, that mural is the only souvenir Disney left them. No future contracts, no phone calls, just their own group chat, and the knowledge they protected each other when the studio would not. Chris Evans watched the uproar around Lightyear from a distance, and made a quiet decision: steer his career where executive spreadsheets can't rewrite the ending. Reporters kept asking when he would pick up the shield again, and the answer stayed fixed: never. Happily retired, he told One magazine in early 2025, amused that every few months the same rumor respawns like a pop-up ad. Anthony Mackie backed him up. Evans hadn't even hinted at a cameo during their latest catch-up call. For Evans, the Steve Rogers arc closed perfectly, and reopening it would cheapen both the farewell and the audience's memory. Marvel gossip sites countered with secret contract leaks, 6 pictures, 9/2, none of which survived Evans's single-sentence denials. Disney insiders admit the studio would greenlight a Rogers return in a heartbeat. But the actor's new priorities don't align with Iger-era economics. Why lock into another decade of rigid franchise demands when he can shoot an Apple TV Plus thriller, Honey Don't, then pivot to Amazon's Christmas action comedy Red One with Dwayne Johnson, all while keeping creative control and back-end points? Independence looks safer than legacy in a market where legacy gets shelved the moment an algorithm flags diminishing returns. Yet the door isn't fully closed. In 2024, Kevin Feige floated Evans's name during early talks for a new theatrical Star Wars project. Evans had joked back in 2019, "Me" was his one-word tweet when someone asked which MCU actors belonged in the galaxy far, far away, and the idea stuck. Negotiations were described as informal, nothing on paper, but Hollywood handicappers still list him as a frontrunner for the first Feige-produced Star Wars film if the script ever escapes development limbo. That possibility intrigues him because it means building a character from scratch, not resurrecting a legend people already settled in their hearts. Away from franchise speculation, he keeps sliding into the parks as a fan. A January 2025 Orlando sighting showed him queuing for Space Mountain with his brother. No entourage, no plaid vest VIP handler, just a baseball cap and the grin of someone remembering childhood vacations. He still loves the place, even if he no longer trusts the corporate machinery behind it. That visit coincided with another awkward headline: a former Disney tech contractor sentenced to 3 years for hacking ECOT menus and swapping peanut warnings. A reminder that even castle magic can malfunction when neglected by leadership chasing the next stock pop. Evans's relationship with Disney now looks like cautious coexistence. He respects Pixar, still calls voicing Buzz a thrill, but Lightyear's muted gross and culture war grenades dimmed sequel prospect. Pixar staff who fought to restore the same-sex kiss maintain warm ties with him. Executives who debated trimming it out again do not. If the studio wants him back, he'll expect ironclad creative terms, no sudden reversals to appease overseas censors, no edits that erase the point of being there. His own roots keep him realistic about overnight loyalty. Growing up in Massachusetts community theater, he got early pep talks from local directors who drilled one rule: when the show ends, strike the set graciously and move on. That lesson echoes now. He closed out Steve Rogers at the absolute peak, thanked the audience, and stepped away before the spotlight could sour. Returning just because a quarterly forecast wobbles would betray that upbringing more than it would serve fans. Disney can't openly admit it needs him, but market analysts do the math. The studio's biggest 2023-24 wins were nostalgia sequels: Avatar 2, Guardians Vol. 3, even as new projects flopped. Streaming growth stalled, legal fees ballooned from culture war lawsuits and park accidents, hacks, fires, and drug busts bruised the happiest place on earth brand. Investors whisper that the company must rebuild goodwill through talent relationships, not just ride upgrades and AI cost cut. That means convincing actors of Evans's caliber that Disney can still be trusted with legacy and vision. For now, Evans keeps diversification as shield and saber. If Disney truly fixes its artist relations, he might answer a Feige call and fly an X-Wing. Until then, the man once defined by a star-spangled suit is perfectly content exploring galaxies where corporate memos can't delete a character because the balance sheet twitches. And somewhere in another group chat, the former Guardian scroll the headlines about Disney's AI experiments, hacking scandals, and line-skipping lawsuits, then type a simple reaction that needs no NDA: "We told you so." Across fan forums, the grief has settled into something sharper: a consumer vow. Threads once devoted to ranking Marvel post-credit scenes now calculate how many months of Disney Plus cancellations it would take to equal Bob Iger's 2020. The numbers are small individually, huge in aggregate. Even a 1% subscriber dip wipes out more than any single Guardians sequel ever cost to mount. Disney's data teams see the churn and tag it sentiment fluctuation. Viewers call it payback. They replay the chronology. First came corporate panic during COVID, the streaming gold rush that ordered content by yardage, not soul. Then the equally frantic pullback shows axed mid-arc, entire storylines left dangling because quarterly spend had to shrink. Writers warned the pipeline would clog. Executives insisted, algorithms predicted no dropout. The dropout arrived anyway, measured in unfinished series and toys that didn't move because nobody knew where the heroes went next. Parents once trusted the Disney name to mean safe, coherent, continuous. Now they check social feeds to see if a new movie has been banned in 15 countries, rewritten after test screenings, or battle royaled by governors who dislike mermaids with darker skin. Every angry headline chips at that old infallibility. And when executives blame audiences for fatigue, those same audiences point to Guardians, proof that fatigue isn't inevitable if you still tell stories like you care. James Gunn, now deep in DC pre-production, watches from a distance and declines schadenfreude. Privately, he admits he's sad for the crew members left behind. VFX artists timed out of roles, makeup teams that mastered Nebula's 6-hour prosthetic dance, stunt doubles who'll never somersault through an airlock again. Some he's already hired to follow him across the lot, others send resumes he can't yet place, casualties of a franchise euthanized by spreadsheet. Inside Burbank HQ, at different war rumbles, legal briefs versus cultural entropy. The Reedy Creek fight cost millions in advisory fees and evaporated decades of sweetheart municipal deals. All because leadership waited too long to pick a side. Class action lawyers now circle the disability access dispute. Cybersecurity consultants invoice emergency upgrades. PR teams plan how to spin the next fire, the next arrest, the next former Imagineer dropping receipts on TikTok. None of those expenses appear in creative budgets, but they siphon from the same bucket that once funded experimental animation and risk-taking live action. Shareholders won't read fan essays about why Rocket's trembling paws matter. They will notice when goodwill vanishes, when every new trailer is met first with suspicion, when even children ask whether it's safe to love a character that might disappear without warning. That erosion shows up eventually on earnings slides. Mislabeled, unmodeled volatility. Executives blame macroeconomics. Storytellers shrug. We tried to warn you. Somewhere outside the conference rooms, Dave Bautista wraps another indie set. Karen Gillan storyboards her next short. Palm Clementif trains for a non-Marvel action lead. Zoe Saldana shares behind-the-scenes photos from Avatar. Chris Pratt closes financing on a streaming thriller he will own outright. None of them trash Disney publicly. The NDAs see to that. But silence, everyone finally understands, can thunder louder than outrage. Bob Iger says he returned to preserve Disney magic. The Guardian saga suggests a simpler truth. Magic is fragile and spreadsheets count only what they can measure. Trust, loyalty, wonder, those live outside the cells. Lose them and no amount of IP control gets them back. When a raccoon's whispered "I am Rocket" feels more human than the company that sold his plush, the audience knows which side of the screen still possesses a heart. And that is how a corporation famous for happily ever afters wrote itself, by degrees into the role of villain. One layoff notice, one gag clause, one vanished phone call at a time until the heroes slipped away to galaxies where their stories at least could keep breathing. If you're tired of seeing great stories sacrificed to spreadsheets, hit subscribe, share this video with one fellow fan, and tell us in the comments which character Disney should fight to win back, because the next chapter of these galaxies just might start with our voices.